Today we are at the Venue Residences. Now, of course, this is not a home tour shoot because we are going to talk about the Venue shops right here. If you're primed for an investment property or multiple investment property, this might be the right tour for you. Let's go. So welcome to District 13. This is the RCR district. We call it the rest of Central Region, the city-fringe portion of Singapore. And of course, I'm walking around the perimeters of Venue shops, and this is how the facade looks like. We're sitting in a mixed development. Right on top of us are 266 units of the condos sitting on top of 3 basement parking, ground level shops, predominantly retail shops. And of course, these retail shops are a little bit special because these are strata retail shops, which the individual strata units are available for investment and for sale. So you can either invest it as a rental play, as an investment play, or you can own one for your own usage. Now, what is very interesting is that, firstly, if you look at the entire enclave of Potong Pasir, you can't really find shops for sale. Now, the key reason is that there are predominantly a few key types of shops available. Now, the very first type will be the era of HDB shop houses. And this was, of course, in conjunction with all the commercial and mixed resi and commercial conservation shop house that sprouted from the independence of Singapore. Now, that has already gained a lot of traction over the past years. And of course, most of the HDB shop houses nowadays, they are hovering at about the balance lease of 40 plus years to about 50 plus years. Great for investment and rental gain. But with the evolvement of Singapore into a developed country, HDB has stopped building HDB shop houses. If you notice the latest version of shops below any brand new HDB enclave, these are all shops that are being owned by HDB, and you have to tender bid to rent those shops. We then move on to a new era whereby you have certain shopping complexes with individual shop lots. So these are like Sim Lim Square, Queenstown, the latest one, which is the entire tower opposite Bugis Junction. And of course, you also have Alexandra Central, and these are like the entire malls with individual shops on basement level 1, 2, 3, 4 for you to invest. Then the latest version will be what we call the shops available for sale within mixed developments like this one behind me. Now, this is very distinct and unique because firstly, let's talk about some fundamentals of retail shop investment. First key aspect is that you want your shop to be located on level 1 because level 1 has the most natural footfall. Number 2 is that you want to try to find a shop that's not internal facing but external facing. You also gain an additional traffic footfall, not just from the cars that drive past your shops, but also from the humans being that's walking around the entire perimeter. Now, third is that if your shop is an F&B status, that is even like a great bonus because it's so difficult to get something of an F&B status nowadays. Now, if you purchase any shop houses in District 1 and 2 or D7, D8 or even Jalan Besar region, you will notice that the moment you have that F&B approval, you're going to get more rental than another shop house that does not come with any F&B approval. Now, when CDL and Hong Leong built the entire Venue Residences, what they wanted was a mixed development kind of concept. Some key facts about this entire project: this channel starts from 2012, TOP in 2017. And if you look at the entire Potong Pasir, this was a very beautiful enclave in the sense that we have a nice combination of landed properties, condos, as well as brand new HDB and heritage HDB. Out of 266 residential units, you have 28 retail shops. These 28 retail shops is segregated into 23 pre-approved F&B retail shops and 5 retail shops that are non-F&B, making up 28 in total. Parking is pretty fabulous. You have 406 parking lots. 30 of them are being reserved for commercial tenants, 80 visitor lots, 2 handicap lots, which is part of the visitor lots as well, in total of 82. You have an additional 292 residential parking lots located in basement 2 and 3, and that's being reserved for all the residents that own Venue Residences upstairs. So I think this has been well calibrated and well thought out of because parking is also falling into one of the key factors. I want to make sure that any visitors that come in, there's a decent amount of parking. People can come in, park, come up to level 1 and shop. Residents are not affected as well. So I think this is segregated into a very clean and thoughtful manner. Secondly, I love the fact that predominantly out of the 28 shops, all outward facing, you have the central core lift that serves the shops itself, and that links directly to all the basement parking. You also have additional stairways coming from different angles. So when you park your car, you can come from the main shop's lift lobby, or you can come through some of the car park stairway as well. Now, coming back to Potong Pasir, why is this a very interesting enclave is because this is like the central intersection point serving D19, D14 all the way towards Boon Keng. So Upper Serangoon, I would say popular roads that a lot of people will travel upon. If I were to zoom out based on two predominant MRT stations, which is Potong Pasir as well as Woodleigh, you have some of the first private properties that sprout out over here, which is Nin Residences. Then you have Senet Residence, St. Reed's, followed by Venue Residences. Next up will be Poise Residences as well as Poise Centre. Towards the Woodleigh side, you have Bed at Woodleigh, Blossoms at Woodleigh, Euro Asia Park, Travel, which was just COP recently in 2024. You have Park Colonia as well as Woodleigh Residences sitting on top of the fabulous Woodleigh Mall. That is an integrated development with its own bus interchange that is being linked underground. And the most important thing is that you have the $1 million HDB enclave with 4-5 rooms as well as EMs at Potong Pasir with the sloping triangle roof. Those HDB properties are still doing very well and is very popular because of the St. Andrews in terms of tertiary education from primary, secondary to junior college. If I were to talk about all the BTO clusters that's coming up in Woodleigh and circling the entire Alcove Lake, there are close to about 10 BTO clusters and more that's coming up. Some of them has already MOP and hitting $1 million. In fact, some of the 3-room flats are $900,000 right now. Some of the 5-room flats has already crossed $1.2 million. So those BTO clusters are doing extremely well. So if you were to zoom out on the entire enclave, these are the entire residential footfall right here. On top of the landed properties behind Venue Residences, which is Wan Toh Avenue, you have the entire Senet estate as well. So this is a very nice old money zone as well as new HDB upgraders enclave. You have a nice balance of good performing HDB enclaves, condos and apartments, as well as landed property. In totality, if I were to add whatever is in Woodsville and Leicester, you have close to about 20 over big and small condo and apartments. Now, why would somebody want to invest in a retail shop? For the very fact that this is classified under commercial title. So there's no ABSD involved. Now, if you already have completed your residential property investment, what is important to note is that if you own one residential property, your spouse or partner owns another one for your own family, one for rental investment or capital gain, you have already completed sort of like your residential portfolio. What this means is that your next property is going to be entailing a 20% ABSD or 30% ABSD if it's your second or third property. Your LTV, if you have not fully paid your current property, is going to be affected as well, because your first property you can take up to 75% loan. The second property, if you have not fully paid the first one, you can only achieve a 45% LTV leverage for the bank. What this means is also that together with your ABSD, you have to put in a 55% down payment plus 4 to 6% buyer stamp duty plus 20% ABSD. That will go on to about 80% of initial investment plus a 45% loan. So sometimes in terms of property investment, that will then defeat the purpose of having a healthy leverage. With commercial properties, what is very different is that it does not count into your residential count. So if let's say you already own 2 properties, you can still invest in a commercial retail shop without attracting ABSD. All you need to do is to have the down payment, stamp duty, and then of course you can go up to 70% loan if it's an investment property, and even up to 80-90% loan if you're buying for your own use. So in terms of leverage, it's healthy. ABSD, you're not affected, and most importantly, your exit audience is larger because firstly, you can sell to companies, to individuals. You can also sell to foreigners, PRs, because commercial properties is not being bounded by residential status. They can also buy a commercial retail shop from you without attracting ABSD. So that's one of the key beauty of investing in commercial properties. Let's have a walk while we chat even further. So this is the main Upper Serangoon Artery Road. You can go with the shelter all the way linking to the MRT station. I'm going to point upwards towards that direction because there's Poise Mall as well as Poise Residences. You have the Woodleigh Mall, full integrated development, fantastic shopping mall. But the most important thing is that most of the malls in Singapore now either is being owned and operated by the owner themselves or is being deployed into a REIT. It is almost impossible to own something, firstly, that is ground floor, outward facing, F&B status approved, and importantly is that it belongs to you. But over here, you have the chance to own one of the 23 F&B units or one of the 5 retail units. Let's talk a little bit about the 28 available on level 1 here. We have right on hand 11 retail units for sale, out of which 10 of them are F&B shops, and all this 11 comes with existing tenancy, some of which you have Ayam Penyet, you have a physio clinic, you have a medical clinic, you have beef station, fuel X, you have the very famous Springleaf Prata, and of course this will fall into the tenant mix that's available within this portfolio, ranging from $2 over million to $3 over million, depending on what facing you like, depending on what is the existing tenant mix that you want to invest. Because most importantly, when you buy a retail shop, you want to make sure that there are various key USP that comes with the retail investment. Now, when you go for a retail investment, what is important to note that is very different from investing in residential properties, that residential properties will have a little bit more hassle when it comes to managing your tenancy compared to owning a commercial retail property. Now, the key difference is that when you are a commercial property owner, you don't have to worry about fitting out the unit, you don't have to worry about staging up the unit, you don't have to provide any furniture. All you need to do is to make sure that you rent it back and you collect it back as well. So tenants are already used to the fact that in Singapore, when we rent a retail property, you have to renovate your own retail shop to your own kind of business operating needs. You have to return it back as well, back to the landlord. You're going to save a lot of costing in fitting out the unit. So all you need to do is just to make sure that on a 2 to 3 year basis, you rent it out, ensure that the tenancy vacancy period is low, and you also don't have to worry about viewing, because sometimes when you own a residential unit, you need to get your rental agent to make appointment with the current tenant. But when it comes to shop rental, most of the tenants just needs to view from the outside. They just want to see in terms of facing direction, the human traffic, how busy is the footfall right here. They don't really have to worry about like going into the unit and stuff like that. They're going to renovate the unit by themselves. Secondly, in terms of putting in the needs to fit out the unit, that's done to a very bare minimum. I'm going to talk a little bit about loan as well. Now, if you are buying this for investment, take note, you can usually go up to about 70% of the LTV of the total purchase price. If you're buying for your own use, you can go up to 80-90%. All you need is to put down 10 to 20% of down payment of the total price. Now, why do some operators that's running their own business want to buy something instead of renting? This is usually because of certainty. So sometimes you don't want to fall into discussing about the rental renewal of your landlord once every 2 to 3 years. Now, take note, when you're in the tenant's position, and if your business does well, the culture in Singapore is that landlord will definitely increase the rent alongside inflation, alongside mortgage rates. And if mortgage rates increase, landlords usually want to increase. And sometimes when you already have kind of like an audience or customer base that is already so used to your shop location, and if you were to change location, you're going to lose the entire customer pool that's staying around this region. So that's the last thing you want as a business owner, because you don't want to keep changing location, affecting your current customer base. When you own the unit, you control your own costing. Your mortgage is about there, plus minus on a year-to-year basis. You don't have to worry about rediscussing and negotiating on the rental again. If let's say you want to retire, you're still going to own the unit and you can continue to rent that out to future tenants. You can also look at the entire level 1 facilities. All these are being maintained by management. Drop-off point, security, facilities for the condos is located at level 2. There's also like 4 units that's currently being rented to a childcare center, women's specialist clinic, a physio clinic. You have a lot of food options and cafes over here. The grapevine here is formulated around the topic of food. A lot of people come to the venue shops to really eat. And in Singapore, anything that you touch on F&B relating to needs of children and women and family, these are all going to be very popular anchor tenants as well as establishment. Next up, we're going to talk about the car park, because the car park is for sale. I'm actually the most excited about a car park investment opportunity. Now, all car parks are usually owned and controlled by the building owner, government, or private owners. Now, this is 30,600 odd square feet of strata space that you're going to own for the next 86 years. Every lot costs slightly less than $60,000. So I'm going to just put maybe at a rough asking price of $58,000. Just for ease of calculation, in total, this is close to about 4 odd million, closing into about 5 million. You're going to own 82 parking lots, 2 are handicap lots. So just take 80 as a lot that is going to be most frequently used as an investment. That is going to generate automated revenue for you. I'm going to rank car park as the most automated rental collection mechanism, because firstly, you have residential properties, which you have to manage the tenant, you have to manage the unit, fit out the unit, repair things that are under landlord's responsibility, find new tenants once every 2 years. Second level will be the retail commercial shops or industrial properties or shop houses, as what I mentioned when I was upstairs. Now, third, it is going to be car park, because this runs 24/7 and you technically don't have to find new tenants for the next 86 years of this balance lease. So, assuming you buy this property at, let's say, $4.8 million. I divide by just 80 strata lots because 2 of them are handicap lots. I'm going to assume that in terms of the occupancy for that, it's not going to be as high as the normal lots, alright? That will cost you about $60,000 per lot. Now, if I divide the $60,000 by 86 years, you're going to pay $697 per year. It's $1.93 per day, which is roughly the price of a kopi si kosong in a coffee shop. So once you own this entire 82 parking lots, you have 2 options to operate it. Number 1, you can operate it by yourself. Set up the gantry system, CCTV management and stuff like that. Of course, you need to maintain the car park to make sure that it's well operated. You need to have somebody to manage the customer hotline just in case the gantry gets stuck, somebody needs help and stuff like that. We call that the owner-operated model. The second model is that you can outsource to companies that specializes in car park operations. Sort of like a profit share model, and each of them takes a certain amount of profit after reducing the expenses on a month-to-month basis. We want to look at what are the current parking rates. For the first 11 hours of the day at 7 AM until 6 PM is at $1.40 per hour. 6 PM all the way to 12 midnight is $2.50 per entry. For overnight parking, that's $3 per hour plus park thereafter. I just assume that nobody parks here overnight. Now let's assume there's only 50% occupancy, almost 18 hours of the day. That's going to earn you $8.95 per lot. And if I were to take that to multiply by 80 lots, that means per day, it's going to yield you $716 to own the whole parking lot as your gross revenue without reducing any expenses yet. Per month is going to be at $21,480. Per year is going to be at $257,000, $760. And if I were to divide that by the investment price, that's about 5.37% yield on a gross basis. Definitely the car park operator will definitely take a percentage to manage it. When you come for a site visit, we can explain to you the mechanism, and of course we're going to find out for you the different parking operators on how much they charge. But this is just based on a very conservative 50% occupancy. Now if it's full occupancy, that's going to bring your total yield up to close about 9%. And of course if it's like 25% occupancy, that is still close to about 2% to 3%. What is very interesting is that $8.95 per lot per day versus your $1.93 investment, that's going to yield you about 4.6x based on a 50% occupancy rate of owning one parking lot. Pretty interesting revenue model. There's no full passive income in the world, but of course if you can automate your parking operating kind of business model, that's going to help you to further automate the entire system. Now, this also gives you an opportunity to have a pool and joint investment. Whether you are investing in the car park or the retail shops upstairs, you can pool and joint investment to own this together. So for example, if you're really interested in the car park, you can get 3 to 4 friends, making it a total of 5. Each person will come up close to probably about 950,000 plus minus, generating like an automated business model on the side. There is a lot of flexibility when it comes to joint investment, unlike residential properties, which sometimes can get a little bit more sensitive. Commercial properties are a little bit more clean cut. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple of USPs that's present in this mixed development. Let's go. Once you are an owner, of course, if you are operating the business yourself in an F&B, retail shop downstairs, or maybe if you are renting out to a tenant, you also have the free access to level 2 facilities that are being enjoyed by the venue residences, condo residents as well. So this is like the added USP and plus point that I was talking about. Of course, there's MCST fees the moment you own any strata lots, whether it's the residential units, retail units, or the car park units, you get access to the facilities together with the rest of the residents here. So I think that is definitely something that's very attractive for the tenants as well as the owners of retail shops over here. If you want to have a look at this particular 10 retail F&B shops for investment, for your own use, or the one retail shop currently being sold with tenancy, of course you can also take over it as an investment or your own use as well. Or you're very interested to own the entire car park portfolio, or you want to own multiple shops at one go, you can of course click on the link right down below or connect with any of our consultants. Come for a site visit, come for a consult session. We're going to break down the numbers for you to see how it makes sense for your business. And of course, my name is PropertyLimBrothers. As always, happy to show the place. We'll see you on the next investment tour.